the best bite-sized podcast about Chase Hughes and psychological operations.
Engineered reality, PSYOPs. Yeah, lots of terms for it.
Exactly. But what we're really digging into here is how our thoughts, maybe our actions, even, who we think we are, can be, well, influenced, shaped,
Yeah.
often without us really noticing.
It is a bit unsettling when you frame it like that, isn't it? This idea of unseen currents affecting us.
Right. And I think, well, it feels like more people are starting to sense that, maybe waking up a bit, questioning the narratives they see everywhere.
That's an interesting shift.
Yeah.
Maybe a sign people are becoming more critical, challenging assumptions.
Yeah, I think so. So our goal in this deep dive is pretty clear. We want to give you some, I guess, tools, ways to look at all the information flying around and ask, the important questions.
To help you spot these potential psychological operations, these PSYOPs, in daily life, like adding a filter to how you see information.
Kind of like X-ray specs for information. And to make it practical, we're going to unpack a framework. Think of it as a checklist, maybe, to help you gauge if something might be leaning towards a PSYOP. Sound useful?
Definitely. And a good starting point is probably the FATE model. It breaks down some core tactics often used.
Okay, FATE. F-A-E-T. Focus, authority, tribe, emotion. Let's start with F, focus. How do they grab our attention? Because there's so much noise out there.
Well, it's often about intense, sustained attention on one thing.
Yeah.
Like, think about a crisis that just takes over the news, 24/7, same images again and again.
The shocking visuals, yeah, they stick with you.
Exactly. And repetitive keywords, too. You suddenly hear the same phrases everywhere, words like unprecedented or specific labels that pop up constantly during certain events.
It does feel almost hypnotic sometimes, overwhelming. So the first thing is maybe just pause.
Yes, pause and ask, why this? Why so much focus here? Is it really proportional to everything else going on?
If it feels like something's yelling for your attention, maybe pay attention to that feeling.
Right. And that focus often ties into the next letter, A, authority. How are trusted figures used?
This one's tricky because we naturally trust experts, don't we?
We do. But sometimes you'll see someone respected, a scientist, maybe a doctor, even a well-liked celebrity, suddenly speaking out strongly on something, well, outside their actual expertise.
Like your favorite baker suddenly giving financial advice. It just feels a bit weird.
Precisely. So
Yeah.
the key is being discerning. Is this person really an expert in this specific topic? Or are they lending their general authority to something else?
Good point. Okay, next is T-Tribe, exploiting our need to belong. This feels very relevant today.
Oh, extremely. It taps right into our basic human need for community. PSYOPs often magnify divisions, creating a really stark us versus them.
You see the language, right? Labels like patriots versus traitors, or, the enlightened versus the sheep. It's instant polarization.
It absolutely is, designed to push emotional buttons and shut down nuance.
Creates walls. So the advice here is, if you see that really divisive black and white language, just step back. Is this about understanding or just creating conflict?
Critical question. And that leads us to the last letter, E, emotion. Fear, hope, anger. How are these pulled into it?
This feels like the powerhouse, doesn't it? Because when emotions are high, logic kind of takes a back seat.
Exactly. Information gets framed to provoke a strong reaction, fear, outrage, sometimes intense hope, but often without solid evidence. And when we're feeling strong emotions, we're less likely to question.
Yeah, our critical thinking gets bypassed, like those images of empty supermarket shelves you mentioned. Instant fear of scarcity.
It triggers panic buying, potentially. Irrational behavior driven by that emotion. So the goal is to try consciously to separate the emotional pull from the actual facts. What's the real evidence here?
Okay, so that's fate. Focus, authority, tribe, emotion. But there's more layers to this, right? What about novelty? Why do new, unexpected things grab us?
It's baked into our brains, really. Survival instinct. Sudden change might mean danger or maybe opportunity, so we focus on it. PSYOPs can play on this. Unexpected crises, dramatic revelations.
Timed just right, like a bombshell story dropping just as something else inconvenient was gaining steam?
Precisely. Or maybe a video that suddenly goes viral at a very specific, perhaps sensitive moment. The timing feels, well, convenient.
So be aware of when things happen. Why now? Does it feel orchestrated? Any sudden shifts in conversation that seem to come out of nowhere?
That whistleblower video example, appearing just as an official faces heat. Classic case of using novelty and timing.
Okay, another thing to look for. Multiple sources pushing the same centralized narrative. What's the worry there?
It's a big red flag when you see all the major outlets, even ones that usually disagree, suddenly saying the exact same thing, using the same phrases, hitting the same notes. It creates an echo chamber.
Yeah, it makes it hard to find a different viewpoint, like everyone's reading the same memo.
Yep. Exactly. So the advice is to actively look for those other voices, independent journalists, contrarian thinkers, even if their views challenge you.
Like that example of a health study reported everywhere, but turns out it was funded by the company selling the cure. You gotta look beyond the headlines.
Which brings us to something quite sophisticated. Cognitive dissonance weapons.
Right, cognitive dissonance. That uncomfortable feeling when new info clashes with what we believe or who we think we are. How is that used as a weapon?
Well, the idea is to get you to agree to something small. A tiny concession, a minor action that doesn't seem like a big deal, signing something, changing a profile pic.
Okay.
But these little micro-agreements can subtly shift your self-perception. To reduce that internal dissonance, you might unconsciously start aligning your behavior more broadly with the agenda behind that small ask.
Wow, that's insidious, like boiling a frog, slowly
Yeah.
turning up the heat. So be wary of those seemingly tiny requests.
Yes, they can be stepping stones. That campaign to finding true patriots by what they buy. It creates internal conflict if you don't comply, nudging your identity.
Got it. Then there are emotional scripts,
Mhm.
tapping into really deep-seated instincts.
Exactly. Primal fears. Fear of loss, scarcity, being kicked out of the group, basic danger. When these scripts get activated, logic often gets overwhelmed.
Stories about food shortages, sparking panic, warnings about resources running out, threats of being canceled or ostracized if you don't conform.
All classic examples. They hit us at a gut level. The key defense is trying to step outside that script. Focus on facts. What's the actual data? Compare it with other sources. Don't let the fear response dictate your thinking entirely.
That politician painting a scary picture about the future without any real numbers.
Yeah, pure emotional script.
Then there's the advice, follow the money. Sounds simple, but
But powerful, right? Who benefits if this narrative takes hold? Identifying who's funding it, who gains politically or financially, that often reveals the motive. Yeah, and there are tools out there like ops.org or just digging into public records, financial disclosures. It helps connect the dots.
that example of the clean energy charity funded by the solar panel company lobbying for subsidies tells you a lot.
Absolutely. Now, a slightly more abstract one. Analyze the context boundary, how the definition of normal gets shifted.
Explain that a bit more, context boundary.
Well, context sets the rules for what we find acceptable. Manipulative tactics often involve slowly moving that boundary, normalizing things that used to be unthinkable, like maybe increased surveillance during an emergency.
Ah, I see. It happens so gradually you don't notice the line moving.
Exactly. So compare situations. Is this response proportionate compared to similar events elsewhere or in the past? Look for contradictions with previously held norms. Shifting context combined with cognitive dissonance is potent.
The hypothetical cyber attack used to justify mass surveillance. Yeah, context shift 101.
And related to narratives is spotting the use of archetypes. Hero, villain, savior.
Oh yeah, simplifying complex issues into basic good versus evil stories.
Precisely. Be cautious of narratives that paint things too simply. One leader as the only hope, or anyone who disagrees as inherently bad or stupid.
Reality is usually messier, more gray.
Always. So try to deconstruct the story. Who's the hero? Who's the villain? Is it too neat? Seek the nuance. That leader always shown as perfect, mistakes ignored. That's archetype manipulation.
Okay, crucial step now. Evaluate the frame. How the whole issue is presented.
Right, break it down. Ask, what am I expected to think or do here? What are they assuming about my beliefs or fears? How is reality being shaped? What's included? What's left out?
And critically, what truth is being pushed as untouchable? Are critics silenced, labeled? Are alternative views just gone?
That last point is key. Information suppression, name-calling dissenters like conspiracy theorists, huge red flags. It signals an attempt to control the narrative completely.
Like the company scandal where critics are just dismissed as disgruntled employees. Classic framing.
Definitely. Also, we need to be alert to rapid compliance shifts, creating that sense of urgency.
Making you feel like you have to act now, jump on board immediately.
Yes. Through emotional appeals? Maybe showing staged group behavior suggesting everyone agrees? Creating a false consensus. It pushes for quick agreement before you can think too hard.
That pressure to conform. Don't want to be the odd one out.
Exactly. So, resist the rush. Slow down. Question the conformity. Talk to people who seem unsure.
That viral challenge that explodes overnight, pushing a symbol or hashtag, Could be manufactured urgency.
It could be. Which leads nicely to the next point. Study the timing of events. Always ask, why now?
Timing is everything, isn't it?
It can be incredibly revealing. Look for weird coincidences. A huge distracting story breaks right when something else, potentially damaging, was about to surface. Or a movement seems timed to overshadow something else.
Could be a smokescreen. That celebrity drama eclipsing a major political report might not be accidental.
Worth considering, absolutely. And finally, to really boost our defenses, we need to get good at spotting logical fallacies.
Ah, yes. Flawed arguments that sound convincing but aren't.
Exactly. Like the appeal to emotion, think of the children, instead of facts. Or the straw man twisting someone's argument to make it easy to knock down. Oh, so you oppose this, you must want disaster.
Right. Then there's the bandwagon. Millions agree, so it must be right. The false dilemma. You're either with us or against us, ignoring other options.
Ad hominem, attacking the person, not their point. You can't trust her, she's not credentialed. Appeal to authority, Dr. X says so. Or just trust the science without explaining the science.
Slippery slope. If we allow this minor thing, total chaos will follow. Hasty generalization. I saw 2 examples, so all of them must be like that.
Red herring, throwing in something totally irrelevant to distract. Why worry about X when Y is happening? And false equivalents, pretending 2 different things are the same because they share some minor trait.
Phew. That's a lot. But knowing them really helps, doesn't it? Makes you harder to fool.
It absolutely does. It's like having a toolkit for critical thinking.
Definitely. And hey, remember that tool we talked about earlier, the framework for spotting potential PSYOPs? We've put a link to that scoring system in the description for you to check out.
Yeah, definitely worth looking at. It helps put all these pieces together.
Because ultimately, navigating these times, it's not always about having all the answers, is it? Or being the loudest.
No, often it's about asking the right questions. And crucially, staying calm enough to think clearly.
Well said. A powerful thought to end on.
Indeed.
See you soon with another guide like this.